Thank you for tuning in to the Afternoon Pint. This episode is sponsored by Camilla Najat of Exit Realty, Strategy Up Business Consultants, and ISS Atlantic Security Guard Services. Enjoy the show. Cheers! Welcome to Morning Coffee. I'm Mike Tobin.
I'm Matt Conrad.
And I'm Tara Thorne. I've moved on from coffee. Quite quickly.
Awesome. So I got my coffee here with my nice Batman mug, and I'm going to add a little bit of this. This is a Nova Scotia whiskey here. Glenfiddich Ice. Yeah. So that was a gift from last Christmas from Andrea, and it just takes a long time to get through it. Some of these whiskeys, I have a few. I'm just going to add a little bit of that, and then I'll start talking
I got my Canadian as Puck mug going on.
Oh, nice.
So I got a bit of a throwback because I'm doing tartan coffee. So that's a previous guest and a friend of ours. He has his own coffee company, so I'm doing that, and I'm also rocking this in the coffee there as well. So JD Shore,
nice
little after 8 in the coffee, winning combination if anyone hasn't tried it yet.
Nice. And I went with a hot toddy, which is basically a health drink at this time of year, but it is in a Propeller Pumpkin Ale Classic glass.
That's cute.
That's they don't have this. Too. They don't have this logo anymore.
No, they don't. Yeah.
No, they made it all uniform, which is like I get it, but it was cool. I wish they go back.
Different. Yeah. Show me that glass.
So, it's funny. Like last night, speaking of the pumpkin. Speaking of the Propeller Pumpkin, so we tried something out last night. Speaking of tartan, Mark and I were together, and we tried it's a pumpkin spice latte beer combo. So we took half of the flat white from Propeller and half of a pumpkin spice beer and mix it half and half. I actually liked it quite a bit.
I've heard of that. I did it a couple Thanksgivings ago. That's a good combo.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, kind of tones it down. Mike, you even might like that there, man. I know you're not one for the pumpkin beers, but this one's a little bit more toned down. You might like it.
I don't trust it. Yeah.
All right.
What about you, Allie? So, I saw it was really funny. So I got this message to talk to you, and I recognized your name, and I did a tiny bit of research, and I'm like, oh yeah, okay. So you were a Coast journalist for like 15 years?
19.
19 years. Wow.
Yeah.
And then you went on and you what else? So you had a really fun podcast going.
Yeah, the Tideline with the Halifax Examiner. So Tim Bousquet, who used to work at the Coast, started his own thing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, awesome. And how many episodes that run for? That was a huge.
Oh, what a statistical question. I want to say 100. It was 2 years. It was weekly 2 years. So maybe 104 or something like that.
Yeah, and that ended up with, I saw the last episode, Kat McCormick. So I knew Kat from my high school so many years ago. She
Dartmouth.
was a couple years behind me. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kat McCormick is in all my films. I have this backwards poster here is for the Lakeview bar. My new movie is called Lakeview, and it takes place at the bar, and they were like, do you want this sign? And I was like, yeah, sure, but it's giant. It was a huge mistake for me to take it. But anyway, Kat is in that movie. She's also in Compulsus. But in this one, a friend of mine was an extra, and she walked up to me and said, is Kat cosplaying as you? Because she had glasses and a track jacket and a shirt and a t-shirt and stuff. So I like to say she's the Ethan Hawke to my Richard Linklater. Not that I'm comparing myself to Richard Linklater, but
I got an idea.
Yes.
Tell me if you like it or if you hate it, because if you hate it, take it out. So this movie, instead of us just talking about it, why don't we all watch the trailer together here now, and I'll see if I can sew it into this episode. This would be fun. Never before. Ooh.
And then do you want me to do DVD commentary on it?
Yeah, that'd be freaking awesome, right? Let us know a little bit about what the movie's about, because we didn't get a chance to watch this one, and usually we try, but sometimes circumstances just honestly didn't get a chance. But I'd love to help promote the show. So how can we do this here real quick? I'll see if I can figure it out.
Oh, Allie's on it.
Allie's on it. Allie's on it.
Oh my God, you're amazing. Shout out to Allie, Route 504 PR.
Yeah, seriously. I'm feeling very Joe Rogan-esque right now with the like, you know how he goes to his guy off camera and he pulls things up and stuff like that. I'm feeling very much like that right now.
Yeah, I wish we had Dally in all of our podcasts. That'd be amazing. It just
She can tech support you. I think it's just going to be an audio issue.
yeah, maybe.
I used to think being a man-hating lesbian was a bad attitude, but time has proven us right. Laying of hands, emotional terrorism. Seems pretty rampant, but no one gets called out that I see, and definitely no one gets arrested.
Can we please talk about the absolute uprising going on in our community?
I know what you did.
Are you a violent man? You're gonna want it all back.
We are beating them back, and we are gonna win. We can't do this.
Violent man. Throw the witches on the fire.
I'm not going to lose everything for some vengeance campaign that only ends one way.
Which way is that?
Jail, or worse.
So, 2 ways.
Awesome.
Looks good.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah.
So she whips some ass in this movie?
What's that?
Does she whip some ass in this movie? Is that
Yeah, she whips some ass. Yeah. I thought you said she whips Matt. I'm like, I don't understand. What did you do, Matt? I just met you.
What did I do?
Yeah.
It's so funny. We had a so the movie actually started doing festivals in 2022, and we had a festival trailer that we cut with our editor. And then when we signed up with Vortex, they cut one, and it starts out with man-hating lesbian, and I was like, shit, we should have been leading with that the whole time.
Whoa.
It's like a really funny.
I'm going to cut that last bit of the trailer. Let's listen to the trailer for the audio. But so just tell us a little bit, walk us through what we just kind of saw in the trailer.
Sure. So Compulsus is about a lesbian named Wally who is she's like a spoken word artist, and she decides to start taking revenge on specifically hipster men. So like guys who would be like wear a shirt that say I'm a feminist too, you know what I mean? And then but in private they're violent to women. Yeah. Okay. So she just starts taking and she takes revenge by surprise, basically. And so the first one's sort of a surprise to her, and then she starts getting tips and kind of following up on them. So she becomes a vigilante, and then she also is falling in love at the same time. So she's living a bit of a double life where she's like, you know, when you meet someone, there's always compromises, but like, is being a nighttime vigilante too much? Maybe.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of a unique twist to something that, you can, we've seen before where it's like, like either a woman will finally snap and like that's her final breaking point or whoever it is. But it always seems to be kind of targeting a particular type of person, like powerful men and things like that. But the fact that this is kind of like hipster and attacking like hypocrites is a little bit of a unique, fresh, like kind of take. And then she's kind of like going straight up like, like lesbian Batman type of thing.
Yeah, totally. That's so funny. And the other thing is nothing has happened to her personally. So this is something that happens in film a lot. If you think about like Kill Bill or
yes,
any movie where like a woman's taking revenge, it's because her child has been murdered or she's been brutally attacked or something. It's always like that's the only reason women would like reach a breaking point is because something has been personally done to them. Nothing has been done to her. So it's sort of interesting where it's like this rage driven from empathy. And also all the violence is off screen. So when I was kind of putting the movie together, people said, you're not going to be able to make this movie. Telefilm's not going to let you do it because actors can't like have fight scenes. Your stunt budget's going to be huge because we were in a program called Talent to Watch, which is really low budget. It's a micro budget. So our budget was like $209,000 total.
Okay.
So they're like, you need to you need to explain to them how you're going to do it. So we ended up shooting a demo just to be like, the second she's going for him, the camera moves away, and then we do it with sound. So it's not an actively violent movie. It's not bloody. And it's not gross in any way. Like, I could have done it that way, but it wasn't really about the actual violence itself. It was more that she wanted to do it.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
This episode is brought to you by Strategy Up. Strategy Up is a business consulting firm led by Mark Zerka, who has over 20 years experience in building commercial strategies that will up your game, organize your teams, increase your productivity, and grow your business.
Whether you're a construction company looking to grow your revenue or a busy restaurant owner just trying to keep the doors open, Strategy Up can help. Strategy Up's boutique-style consultations will help you improve business process across nearly any industry.
Being a successful entrepreneur does not mean you have to be an expert in everything. Strategy Up specializes in building a relationship with you. Once pain points in the business are realized, Strategy Up will introduce process and technology that will power up your game to the next level.
A successful business requires investment. Your next step towards growth starts now. Email info@mystrategyup.com for a free business discovery call. Up your game with Strategy Up.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah.
I've seen it work in movies before, though, where they've taken the violence out of the movie, and it actually can work really well. It can actually have an impact because you use a little bit of your imagination, right?
Absolutely. It's like when you read a book and you're like, oh, here's how I think this looks.
Yeah.
You involve the audience a little bit more with their imagination. It's I'm kind of the same way when it comes to horror. When I watch a horror movie, it's like sometimes showing the thing is not as scary as imagining the thing.
100%.
Exactly.
As soon as they show that stupid CGI monster in the film, I'm like, okay, I go home now. Then you're like, you get to like the second act and you see that like dumb creature and you're just done with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I like that. I like that idea. I like the idea of kind of involving the audience a little bit more and allowing them to use their imagination.
Yeah.
Get them into that deep psychopathic mentality, I guess, that seems to be like very popular these days. Everyone's watching true crime and listening to true crime and all that stuff. So yeah.
Totally, but I like to just kind of warn people off because we played a couple genre festivals when we did our festival run. So we got into Fantasia, which is like a huge festival in Montreal, and it's really about like horror and kind of gross shit. And it so we got a bunch of requests from genre festivals to see the movie. I'm like, you're not gonna like it. Like, it's not what you think it is. It's not violent. So so it was an interesting sort of run because people do think it's going to be like the thing it gets compared to the most is Death Wish, which I think is really funny.
What, Quentin Tarantino? Death Wish? Really?
Just Charles Bronson killing people indiscriminately.
Yeah.
I've never seen any of the Death Wishes.
Okay.
But yeah, it's not
Death Wish. I've never
film.
seen Death Wish. I've seen Death Proof. I was thinking of the wrong movie. Yeah.
It's also not like Death Proof.
Yeah. That's hilarious. So like, go back a bit. Like, what's up? So why did you, if you don't mind me asking this, retire from the world of journalism? Because you worked at the Examiner. Like, what was the story there?
I started in journalism when I was really young. Like, I was 20 when I got like a summer job at the Coast, and I never left. And I started working at CBC 5 years later. And so I had these two tandem sort of careers, and I did leave the Coast and then ended up coming back part-time, blah, blah, blah. The problem with journalism as a job now is it's changed so much. You know, the Coast as an alt weekly was supported by ads, but there was a very hard line between editorial and ads. It was like a tenet of journalism is like one does not influence the other. So it's like whoever was buying ads did not affect what we covered in the newspaper. And that started to change as the internet took over the news and people were going to the internet instead of newspapers. Print folks were scrambling to figure out like how to make some revenue. So they started selling, we call it advertorial, where it's like, it looks like editorial, but it's been paid for and approved by the advertiser. It's gross. It's never worked. No one likes to read it. It's never been well written.
Well, like, I'll call out the Coast real quick. And for full disclosure, before I do that, we are nominated, and you are nominated
Yes.
for Southern Coast. So
I
you're
know.
nominated for Best Director, and I've already given you a vote just because you're
Oh,
coming
thanks so
on the show.
much.
I'm like, she wins, she's coming on our show. So please, if you get a moment, vote for us. Right? We're the best. Really nice people. Yeah. Totally not hypocritical hipsters, right? Yeah.
You can tell by the hats. It's fine.
Or trucker hipsters. Yeah.
So, the Coast was, as privy to that as anyone else, and it's not a judgment on them. It's just like, it's a small town. There's only so many places to get money. So they branched out and they started a ticketing company and they started putting on events, even though they didn't really supply the staff to put on those events. So like we all kind of had to suffer through it. And it just got less and less and less about journalism.
But seeing those ads in your feed really kind of drive me nuts too, because I was on the Coast, and I'll call them up because Coast often calls out atrocities in the community, and I think that type of something great that they do, right? They've never been afraid to stand up and shout out, which was what the Coast was all about, right? Traditionally, and I'd say still present day to some point. But
you think so?
Well, no, but then you see an advertisement like man wins lottery and changes life, and you're like looking at it and you're like, this is an article, and then you see in like little tiny words as an advertisement, not seems like such an odd Coast story, right? Because it's
I think the Coast going to the other coast, being bought by someone from the other coast changed a lot of the what they did here.
Yeah,
it really did. And the funny part is it's those folks actually infused salaries for the first time ever. Like people that worked at alt weeklies, North America over, you made like $27,000 into 2023. You know what I mean? Like it was not a lucrative thing. You did it for the love. Those folks increased the salaries, but then they changed the kind of perspective and the coverage. So it was like you're finally making decent money to do work that you don't want to do. So they're down to a couple folks over there. I don't really know, and I feel bad about it because the print issue just sort of went away when it's called OMG Media. Oh my God, Media. I don't know what it means. Overstory Media Group. When they bought the paper, apparently they said we're not going to kill the print issue, and then it was like, well, we're going to go down to 4 special issues a year. When's the last time you saw a printed Coast? It's been years. And it makes me really sad because I feel like it won't get its legacy won't be celebrated because it's just going to disappear. It's fading out. You know what I mean? And it makes me sad. So anyway, point being, I didn't want to be part of any of that. And then I lost my job at the CBC in 2020 in the middle of the pandemic. And then so it made me have to try something else. So I just I'm an arts worker now. I do contract work. I was just at AFCOOP for 4 years doing the Halifax Independent Filmmakers Festival. Worked for WIFT Atlantic doing their conference called Making Waves. Did a little bit of work for Screen Nova Scotia. So I'm just sort of it's still a freelance life. It's just not just journalism isn't involved.
Sorry, so
the director.
How did you jump from journalist to director? Because that's a hell of a leap.
It is. Yeah. I always wanted to make a movie. And then when I left the Coast, it was in 2019, in July of 2019. My 40th birthday was that September. And I was like, okay, what are we doing? We're about to turn 40. We're on EI for the first time ever. What is life now? And AFCOOP actually had this workshop called Writing Small. And it was a structure workshop with deadlines, which I need as a journalist, former journalist, recovering journalist. It was this workshop with the goal to produce a script, like a first draft to apply to Talent to Watch, which is this telephone program in February of the next year. Excuse me. So yeah, you had to submit 1 to 3 ideas, and I submitted 2, and one was Compulsus, one was this idea of a vigilante, and it was weird. The jury didn't like it, but the guy Ian running the course did like it. He's like, you should go for this. You should do this. And so I developed it through that, and then found a producer. Her name's Nicole Steves, and we applied, and in March of 2020, and then what happened then. So it was delayed, but it happened eventually. Yeah. We got it.
At the time, I was working on a different podcast type of project too, a creative one that never even happened because COVID happened smack in the middle of it, and it was like it. And it was like
how many dreams did that thing kill?
Oh,
So
you
many.
know what? It killed some, but it created some too, like this show.
Yeah, fair point. Fair point.
Like a
Yeah,
lot of
like
other things.
it
So
it did it. That's the thing is it did.
yeah.
There was a lot. Obviously, there's a huge economic disruption, but the with chatting with some of our previous guests and specifically Erin Hennessy from Hennessy Casting, she was telling me like basically how well Nova Scotians handled COVID
Yeah.
helped the film industry like really like boost in Nova Scotia, which is a great thing to see because I'd like to see us win. Like, I'd like to see us compete against others.
Yeah.
I'd like to see more people like yourself be able to start doing movies annually and
Yeah.
kind of growing that market.
Actually, that leads to a good question. Like, what would you think about the film industry in its current state in Nova Scotia? Because you've got a hands-on approach now for the last 4 years, especially in this current gig.
It's doing really well. I mean, we ended up losing that edge that we had because there was a certain point where we all just gave up. We were like so smug about our zero numbers and stuff, and then it was just like it's off now. But that was a boom for the film industry, and certainly we shot in that time. We shot in 2021 in March, like fully masked. We did the rapid tests hadn't been invented yet. Well, I'm sure they had been invented, but they weren't accessible yet. Everyone had to like go get a test every Sunday and like submit it to production. And like we were lucky that we were able to do that because a lot of provinces did not have that ability. And so the nice thing about it is, From came here and and like all these things that have that sort of entrenched themselves in that time have stayed here and then expanded more. It's actually really difficult to shoot anything independent right now because everyone's working on these big shows, which is a good thing. Like it got so intense that Screen Nova Scotia started a campaign that was literally like, come home. It's time to come home because so many people left when the tax credit was cut in 2014. So a lot of film workers went to Toronto or Vancouver or whatever, and they were literally like, we don't have enough people here to work on these shows, come home.
Amazing.
So it's good. So
That's
the nice
cool,
thing
though.
is, a lot of people are training up now, and like there's still a bit of a work shortage, which is a rare Nova Scotia problem to have. It's like where there literally aren't enough skilled workers for an industry. That's
it pays a bit of a problem, that industry too, though, right? So it's hard to ask people to give so much of their time for so little money sometimes.
Yeah, although the big shows are pretty good. I hear. I don't get to work on. I'm not a set person. Like all of my crew works that on both films works year round. They do great, and I'm like, I just quit my contract job. I don't know what will happen now.
Yeah.
I think that was one of the things that like Aaron and like we talked about is the kind of the difficulty is there's a lot of work that's going from Monday to Friday and not like there's not going on the weekends and things, and there's people who are part-time would love to kind of jump in there, but their Monday to Friday job stops it kind of thing. So that's another thing that I think if we could draw people in, but I get it, you can't overwork people either too.
Yeah, and also it's super it's not exactly reliable work. It's like if you get on a thing and you're like, it shoots till December, great, then but then it's like what happens after that? Who's to say?
Yeah.
Right.
I mean that's the nature of the entertainment industry is you're going from contract to contract to contract. So it's like, who the people who can go into that are people who are able to do that, like go from contract to contract, but also people who have a job maybe that can float them, that's flexible enough to, lets them do those types of things kind of stuff, right?
Definitely. And it's like, I do have all the free time in the world right now, but like I said, I don't have any set skills and I can't drive, so I can't even be a production assistant because it's like you need to be able to get yourself around. So it's like, I'm like, should I get my driver's license? Is that what I should do in this time off? At the ripe old age of 45? Maybe.
Why not? Yeah, go for it.
Why not?
Yeah.
Never too old. Never
you can
too
do
old to try something. Right?
So the movie comes out on October 11th, right?
Yes.
And that's going to be played just locally in theaters around Nova Scotia. What
It's going to be there's a run at Park Lane in downtown Halifax, and then it's going to play kind of one night only vibes in Truro and in Charlottetown and in Wolfville on the 18th. And then it's also going to have a run at the Review Cinema in Toronto that opens on October 11th. And theaters can be added after the fact. So if if people want to see it.
I got a question for people with like raising teenage girls. What's the age for this movie recommendation?
Sorry, my cats are stuck in here. They're stuck. They're stuck in here. Just one sec.
Yeah.
Don't leave this in.
You got a couple. There you go.
Okay.
I got my pets all outside.
They can get in, but they can't get out.
Yeah.
What
were we saying? Oh,
what did you just ask me? Yeah.
Oh, age. How old?
Yeah.
Before see this movie, I think it's an 18 plus or like a 14 plus.
It's rated 14A by the government. I have the certificate in my bathroom. There's a lot of swearing. There's some sexual content. There's no nudity.
Mm-hmm.
I think how teen are we talking? Like 13 or 17?
12.
12. I don't think they'll be that interested, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that's a good answer. I've never. It's weird how, I don't know. Maybe this is how I'm programmed. Tell me how you guys are programmed. With movies and ratings, it's always like when I grew up, violence and swearing was okay, but sexuality was
it's still that way.
Right?
Yeah,
It's still that way. Like it's so weird, right? Like I mean, I sit there with my dad and watch any action movie, and heads be blowing off like 30 times a second. And to be so like fuck, and just like spraying AKs. But like if there was like a boob,
you know what though? I think that's very much a North American society thing. Like that Americanization. They there's a little bit of glorifying violence and things like that. So something can be like PG-13, and it can be like Kill Bill or something, right? And the minute you have a topless person, it's all of a sudden it's 18 plus kind of thing, because nudity and sexuality is apparently more horrifying to see than people's heads blowing up, apparently.
Yeah.
It's weird how we've become accustomed to that.
Yeah. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, exactly. So I was always allowed to watch pretty much I watched The Exorcist when I was 8, I think.
Oh my God.
Yeah. My parents really didn't like I had an older cousin who was like 3.5 years older than me. So he was, I grew up with him kind of thing. And I always watched things kind of, above my weight class, we'll say. So my parents really didn't track that too well. But I think I'm a pretty well-adjusted person. So
yeah, mine did. I remember I got into independent film quite young because I grew up in the country, and it was like my way of rebelling, I think, was to be like, I hate the mainstream. What's this weird thing about? And I would read movie magazines, and there was this movie called Kids by Larry Clark, and it was it was so controversial.
Yeah.
I think it was rated X, which is like unrated, which is
Everybody
bad.
watched it. Everybody watched it.
Yeah, and my mom was like, you can't see that. And I was like, okay. And then I went to my friend's house and we watched it. And I think I was 16, and it was horrifying. It's horrifying now as I get an older person to be like, what are these children doing? But at the time, it was just super explicit and graphic.
You know what, though? It's kind of weird, though, because there's a part of me that kind of thinks like that movie should be watched by like at least high school kids, because I kind of feel like they can learn something from it.
Yeah.
As horrifying as that may sound, it's like, let's make high school kids watch this movie. But there's something to be said about, really hammering home the effects of your actions and, consent and all this other stuff that goes on, making it, sometimes things need to sound bad and look bad in order to hammer that point home.
I don't think any kid would watch that movie and be like, this looks like fun.
Right.
I hope not. Exactly. I hope not.
That was a time too, because I remember when American History X came out, and I felt the same. I was sick to my stomach. I hate that movie so much.
Yeah.
I hate it.
You hate it?
I hate it, and I hate it just because it makes me feel so terrible, like stomach wise. I don't know.
But it's still one of the best movies ever made, though.
But apparently there was a whole debacle with that, where Edward Norton wanted to come off more sympathetic, and he had the star power at the time to go over the director's head and have final cut. So Tony Kaye's cut does not actually exist in the world, which is interesting.
Interesting. Okay.
Well, I don't know. I mean, to defend Edward Norton on that, I think having the approach of understanding someone that horrible is smart. in
It
a sense.
is, but it's also just like a movie star thing to be like, I must be likable.
Yeah,
Like The
true.
Rock has that shit in his contract. It's like,
That's
I am
right,
the
yeah.
hero. I do not kiss women. It's like,
Right.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is that Rock?
Yeah,
that
he has
contract?
The Rock has something in
Yeah.
his contract that he can never lose a fight or something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah,
too.
yeah, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, these people make so much money and they're just tiny little babies.
If I ever become an actor, I'll put that in my contract. Just, I can never lose a
I
fight.
win every fight.
Kelvin, that is not believable.
It'd be fun though.
It would be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, they kind of back, I guess, to like the ratings and stuff like that and everything. So yeah, so you're saying like the 14 plus kind of thing is probably a pretty solid rating for it.
I think so. Yeah, I think that's fair. I honestly don't think anyone younger than that will even care. It like opens with a poem. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then it's like, I don't know. I mean, if they're queer, maybe, or like have questions about it,
Okay,
yeah.
they might
Yeah.
be interested in that part.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I think it's probably too boring.
Awesome. Well, I
Yeah.
still think it's a show.
Not for
that-
everyone. Just
No.
just
No,
for
we know
No,
you.
no. Just I know.
Of course, no, we know what you.
under
Listen,
14.
I think it sounds pretty interesting. I mean, I'm going to talk to my wife about it. I'd like to go and I'd like to see if we can try to catch it. I imagine that if how this works. I mean, not just because I don't know, but I imagine that if you get numbers in the theaters, that's what helps it expand to other theaters.
Yeah. So we're doing Q&As in most of I say cities, in most of the towns that we're playing. So that's part of it, is to get folks out and just like do a little added piece to increase awareness. And then we'll be on VOD in November. So if you do, I mean, obviously we're encouraging people to get out in the theater, which I always do for any movie. But there will be opportunities to catch it after.
Okay,
So,
cool. All right.
What's next for Tara Thorne?
Well, I got this second movie, Lakeview, that just premiered at the Atlantic International Film Festival in September.
Okay.
And it is it's a lot of the same cast from Compulsus, including Kat. And but it's very different. It's like a hangout movie, like The Big Chill. It's an ensemble comedy about a girls' weekend celebrating a divorce. So this time last year, we were on the Eastern Shore in this giant house, which became much less giant once you shoved a movie crew into it, and just shooting by this lake, this house with the lake view.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we're sort of slowly getting into our festival run on that. We have a couple more this fall, and then hoping to hit a bunch kind of next year as well. And then, so it's confusing to talk to me right now because I have two movies that have one-word titles. Leslie Smith is the star of both of them. It's like, what are you doing? Who is this? Where is it? So it's been confusing, but in a good way. It's a great problem to have.
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, I got to say, it was awesome meeting you.
Yeah,
And,
likewise.
I really want to encourage folks to get out and see a movie. This movie, I mean, you can see from the trailers, all shot around Halifax, all shot around Nova Scotia, right? Please.
Which I think people like that, like, because people like to look at the screen and kind of say, like, "Oh, I know where that is."
I
or-
will tell you,
Yeah.
there's like half a dozen attacks. Every single one is now a condo or a condo hole. So it's like it captured the North End in a particular like pre-transition period.
So yeah,
Yeah.
so this was shot during like 2021.
Yeah.
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 Okay, so yeah, so you're gonna see like 3 years in the past of city
Of
looks like.
development, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, all right. I
Back
like it.
when there were places to park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that what you're gonna take away from this film?
No, just joking.
That place used to have good parking.
People would get beat up there indiscriminately, but they were close to their cars.
At least you get park your damn car. Yeah. Tara, it was a pleasure meeting you.
Thanks, folks.
And we'll put a link to your trailer in this episode for folks who missed it or listening in audio. Check it out. It's really cool. I think you did a terrific job with cinematography just from seeing the trailer.
Oh yeah, Nicole Cecile Holland shot it.
Yeah.
and
So
she's really great.
cheers to you, my friend. And
Cheers.
talk to you again in the new year.
All right, take care.
Cheers.
Thank you for listening to the Afternoon Pint. We are an independent podcast and we need your support. Please take a moment to hit that like, follow, and share button. Email us if you have an idea or suggestion for the show. Please send your feedback. We'd love to hear from you.